Honorable judges, members of the bar, family of the deceased, ladies and gentlemen. It is our long-standing tradition in May of each year to memorialize our fallen brothers and sisters at the bar. We usually do this in person in the largest courtroom at the Lucas County Common Pleas Court. Unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we are unable to meet in person this past May or even now. However, as this remembrance is so important to us as members of the bar, through the wonders of modern technology, we are holding the annual joint memorial service virtually. Accordingly, the Toledo Bar Association, Lucas County Bar Association, Thurgood Marshall Law Association, and the Toledo Women's Bar Association invite you to remember those we have lost in 2019 and 2020. At this time, I would call upon and ask the Reverend Elizabeth Rand to give our invocation.
Let us pray. God of love and light, you are our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. In this time of violence and turmoil in our nation, you guide us in the ways of justice and peace. You have called the members of this community to this great work, to ensure that the law serves us and helps us thrive as one people. We thank you for the lives of those we celebrate today, for all they meant to us and to this community. Draw those who remain in this life closer to one another and to you. Make us faithful to serve one another and help us know your peace and your joy. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Rand. We appreciate that. Chris Beach, Bill Meyer, and I are now honored to read the memorial remarks prepared by each respective committee. We shall now proceed with the roll of our deceased colleagues. William J. Kosydar, September 27th, 1929, March 27th, 2019. Admitted to the bar in 1972. A chemical engineer turned probate lawyer, Walter Joseph Kosydar, was a first-generation U.S. citizen, proud of his Polish heritage and a child of the Depression. Walt was educated at Toledo area Roman Catholic schools, attending St. Hedwig's Parish School and Central Catholic High School. Active in the Boy Scouts of America as a teenager, Walt achieved the rank of Eagle Scout. He graduated from the University of Notre Dame with undergraduate and graduate degrees in chemical engineering in 1951 and 1953. Walt served 2 years in the United States Army and was honorably discharged in 1956. Walt received an MBA in 1961 and a law degree in 1972, both from the University of Toledo. Walt worked as a chemical engineer for over 30 years, primarily for Owens, Illinois in Toledo. He retired from his first career in 1984 in his mid-50s and began a second decades-long career as an attorney specializing in probate law. Following the example of his son John, Walt, then in his mid-50s, took up running. He ran into his late 70s. He particularly enjoyed the camaraderie experienced with two local running clubs, the Toledo Roadrunners and the Mud Hen Hash House Harriers. In 2000, he celebrated his 71st birthday by running at the U.S. Track and Field Association's 24-hour national championship race at Olander Park in Sylvania, where he covered a distance equal to his age plus 1 mile. Walt commented on his love for running. The first time I raced was when I was 65. My goal then was to run my age. Then I needed to set new goals, but I guess things are going to get tougher as I get older. Walt also participated in the Blades' former stock market game contests, finishing in the top spots at least twice, both in 2002. He frequently ran with Gary McBride, and the two often attended the same continuing legal education programs. Walt was a devout Roman Catholic. He prayed daily for his family and was a longtime volunteer in various Sunday ministries at the church. He deeply missed attending weekly Mass at St. Pius X after his health started to fail. Walt was married to Virginia Elizabeth Betty Kosydar in Toledo in 1960. They were married until Betty's death in 2017. Walt is survived by his children, John Kosydar and Ginny Kosydar, and his twin grandchildren, Laura and Tom Baccarizo. May he rest in peace. Charles J. Mira, December 12th, 1957, May 23rd, 2019. Admitted to the bar in 1983. A CPA and lawyer, Chuck Mira was born in Bellevue, Ohio, to Charles and Dora Mira. Chuck graduated from Bowling Green State University with a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration in 1980 and cum laude from the University of Toledo College of Law with a Juris Doctor degree in 1983. Chuck was a partner of Mira and Kalina accounting firm since its establishment in 1996. From the inception of his work career, Chuck managed and worked with various tax and business consulting firms, including Deloitte & Touche, and as a partner in Saab and Mira. He was also the owner of the Avenue Bistro restaurant for many years. He served as CFO for Aspen Grove Assisted Living, in addition to being an adjunct professor at the University of Toledo in the Legal Assistance Program. Chuck was very active in his community, serving in multiple local groups, including the Toledo Area Chamber of Commerce, the Toledo Country Club, the Arts Commission of Greater Toledo, the Victory Center, Erie West Hospice and Palliative Care, Taste of the Nation, and the Toledo Opera Board. He was also a member of the Distinguished Clown Corps for many years. Chuck is survived by his loving wife, Dee, children, Audrey Lucius, Charles Chaz Mira, Michaela and Mackenzie, mother, Dora Mira, sisters, Cheryl Mira, Denise Widner, Lisa Mira, nephew, David, nieces, Aaron, Lindsay, and countless friends. He was preceded in death by his father. Chuck was a hardworking, enthusiastic, and well-loved man. Everyone who knew him continues to miss his wit, his humor, and his infectious smile. May he rest in peace.
John Morton Curphey, June 8th, 1927, July 3rd, 2019, admitted 1953. John died on July 3rd, 2019, in Miramar Beach, Florida, where he retired after a long storied career practicing law in Toledo, Ohio. He distinguished himself as not only an accomplished trial lawyer, but also as a mentor, training and inspiring multiple generations of young trial lawyers in the firm he helped build, Robison, Curphey, and O'Connell, and beyond. By his example, John encouraged trial lawyers under his tutelage to be the best version of themselves as a professional in the practice of law. John was born on June 8th, 1927, in Columbus, Ohio. He enrolled at the University of Kentucky, where he played basketball his freshman year before enlisting in the Army during World War II. After his service, and while attending the Ohio State University College of Law, John was again called to military service in the Korean War, during which he was decorated with a Purple Heart and Bronze Star. While in law school, John met his future wife, Patricia, and together, during a marriage lasting over 60 years, they raised 5 children: William, John, Jane, Jim, and Susan. Jim is now a partner at Porter Wright in Columbus and follows in his father's footsteps as a trial lawyer. John loved the courtroom. Helping clients, working with fellow trial lawyers, many of whom were his closest friends, deservedly brought him much satisfaction over his career. Although John would never talk about his success, he was often recognized for his trial skills and his professionalism, perhaps best illustrated by his induction into the American College of Trial Lawyers. Of more importance to his family and the lawyers who knew him is that John was an excellent father, role model, and mentor. He was a joy to be with when telling trial war stories or sharing a laugh. His door was always open. Even after he retired in 1999, John frequently returned to Toledo to keep in touch with his many friends. He was an active member of Collingwood Presbyterian Church and a longtime member of both Riverside Hospital and the Jobst Foundation. John lived life to the fullest and left an indelible mark on those privileged to know and work with him. May he rest in peace. Paul Giha, February 23rd, 1938, August 9th, 2019, admitted 1964. Paul Giha passed away Friday, August 9th, 2019. He was born in Toledo, the eldest son of the late Roger Giha and Ivy Simmons Giha. Paul was a graduate of DeVilbiss High School and the University of Michigan, where he earned his undergraduate and law degrees. He practiced law in Toledo for 50 years and served on the Bar Association Grievance Committee at various times. He enjoyed playing basketball, tennis, golf, and squash, and was a member of both the Toledo Club and Sylvania Country Club. Paul had lots of toys: cars, trucks, jeeps, boats, houses, snowmobiles, and more, and loved sharing the fun. He and his wife Nancy had a cottage at Devil's Lake that was central to their summer fun with family and visiting friends. They were the ultimate hosts. He was also an expert woodworker and created beautiful hardwood furniture. His other interests included model trains and their shows, as well as culinary enjoyment, sharing meals with lifelong friends and family. Paul was respected by his peers and loved by his family, a life well lived. May he rest in peace.
Kenneth W. Phillips, date of birth, December 31st, 1957, date of death, August 17th, 2019, admitted to the bar November 6th, 1989. Kenneth W. Phillips was a proud Buckeye attorney and father of 4 sons. He was a graduate of the University of Toledo College of Law and was a solo practitioner in Toledo at the time of his death. He had previously worked as an assistant prosecutor in Licking County and as a fraud investigator for the Ohio Department of Insurance. Ken was well-liked and well thought of in Toledo legal circles. He had 4 sons, Rory, Robert, Ryan, and Casey. After years of recovery, including many hours of volunteering and serving others in need, Ken sadly succumbed to his disease. Instead of mourning the loss, his family and loved ones want to use his memory to help others by raising awareness that the opioid crisis can strike anywhere, including the professional community. Kenneth loved the practice of law and the impact he could have on people's lives. Countless souls benefited from his empathy, passion, and sharp legal mind, even more from his huge heart and capacity to love. He worked tirelessly to support the Harbor House and Open Door Ministries, his 2 organizations that impacted him personally, as they have many others. His family and community will all miss Kenneth greatly, and Toledo is less for the loss. In his memory, and for the memories of countless others lost to the disease of addiction, we can all best serve by offering the same empathy and support to those in need that he offered to his community. Rest in peace. William Byrne, date of birth July 31st, 1948, date of death August 24th, 2019, admitted to bar November 6th, 1981. Bill was a graduate of Macomber High School. After graduation from high school, Bill served in Vietnam. When Bill returned home, he worked for the railroad and attended the University of Toledo Law School. After graduation from law school, Bill got his feet wet doing domestic relations work for the Toledo Legal Aid Society, which eventually led to his position as a referee in the Lucas County Domestic Relations Court. Bill was involved in the evolution of Civil Rule 53 and the elevation of referees to magistrates. Bill's temperament, good sense, and easygoing manner made the additional responsibilities Revised Civil Rule 53 entailed an easy adjustment for him. Bill's calm approach to tough issues made it easier on those appearing before him. Bill was attentive and focused on issues presented to him at trial, but he was also mindful of the stress trials could cause, especially for young attorneys. During one trial, when he was overheard that it was an attorney's birthday, he acknowledged the same with a cupcake and candle during a break. The attorney to this day cannot figure out how he had time to do this in the middle of a trial. During his time as a magistrate, Bill took a serious interest in the well-being of the children involved in the cases before him. This interest was carried forward from his personal life as a devoted father to his three sons, James, David, and Christian, a grandfather, uncle, and brother. Besides the practice of law, Bill had numerous other interests, including jazz, Detroit Tigers, and fishing in Canada. Bill talked with great exuberance about his annual trip to Canada with his family and about the fish he caught or almost caught. Bill will be remembered as always being approachable and willing to discuss any subject with his own take. You can always find Bill holding court with a PBR, Pabst Blue Ribbon, for the uninitiated nearby. May he rest in peace. John, unmute.
There. I believe I'm unmuted. I apologize for that. George F. Runner, November 28th, 1946, September 13th, 2019. Admitted to the bar in 1975. George Runner was born in Sandusky. He attended Union Elementary School and later graduated from Maumee High School in 1965. George did his undergraduate studies at the Ohio State University and was a lifetime fan of the Buckeyes. During that time, he became involved in the Reserve Officers Training Corps and successfully completed the program, leading to an officer's commission in the United States Army. George proudly served his country in the Vietnam War. He was honorably discharged from the Army with the rank of first lieutenant. George returned to civilian life in Toledo to attend law school at the University of Toledo. He graduated in 1975. He began his legal career as an assistant prosecutor for Lucas County under the leadership of Anthony Pisa. George was a skilled prosecutor who quickly advanced to senior prosecutor, handling serious felony cases. The highlight of his career was his successful teaming with Kurt Posner in the conviction of Anthony Cook in the murder of Peter Sawicki. Cook was implicated in at least 9 other murders in Lucas County. George was also appointed Waterville solicitor for more than 20 years, prosecutor for the Village of White House, and maintained a private practice. He also was an instructor at Owens College, providing legal training for many local police officers. A unique individual, George affected all he met in a positive, warm manner. He will be greatly cherished and missed by all he touched. George is survived by his former wife, Laura, and brother, Raymond A. Runner. May he rest in peace. Phillip R. Joelson, April 19th, 1934, December 3rd, 2019. Admitted to the bar in 1960. Phil lived most of his life in the Toledo area. He was a proud graduate of Scott High School. Following graduation, Phil and 3 of his friends enlisted in the U.S. Army. Phil served in Germany, where he played an important support role in the Korean War. After honorably completing his Army service, Phil enrolled at the University of Toledo, where he graduated. From there, he attended the Ohio State University College of Law. In addition to his law degree, Phil accrued a love of Ohio State sports that remained throughout his life. During his impressive legal career, Phil served as a bankruptcy trustee. He served in that position with integrity, professionalism, and compassion. He treated everyone with respect and dignity. He never lost a sense of humility that made working with him such a pleasure. In his private practice, he was known as a mentor to young lawyers who practiced with him and as a zealous advocate for his clients. In his personal life, he was known as a food critic. He disdained chain restaurants, instead patronizing family-owned restaurants. He would often travel some distance to experience the gustatory joys of a new place. Phil was also a supporter of jazz and blues. He would often travel to jazz festivals locally and around the country. He imparted his love of music to all the members of his beloved family. Surviving Phil are his wife Doreen, his children Harlan, Dove, Jennifer Espett, Daryl Beckles, and Bonnie, stepdaughter Lori Miller, former spouse Evelyn Asher, and 16 grandchildren. Phil was preceded in death by his brother Jerry, stepdaughter Leslie Miller, and 2 grandsons. Phil was interred at Beth Shalom Cemetery, where his marker reads, "Husband, father, grandfather. Now the music is in our hearts." May he rest in peace.
Peter L. Moran, March 12th, 1925, December 12th, 2019, admitted 1953. Born in Newcastle, Pennsylvania on March 12th, 1925, Peter grew up an active member of the Boy Scouts, achieving the highest rank of Eagle Scout. This accomplishment highlighted strong characteristics in which he held value throughout his life. Peter graduated from Shenango High School in 1943 and immediately joined the United States Army during World War II. He was assigned to the European Theater of Operation, combat infantryman. He was considered an expert-level marksman. Peter was wounded during battle and was awarded the American Theater Service Medal, a Purple Heart, Overseas Service Bar, Good Conduct Medal, World War II Victory Medal, and European African Middle Eastern Theater Service Medal with 1 Bronze Service Star. After the war, Peter graduated from Westminster College. He received his JD in 1952 from the University of Toledo College of Law and began his practice with Holloway, Peppers, and Romanoff. For the past 30 years, he practiced alongside his daughter Mary Beth at their firm, Moran & Moran. As an active member in the Toledo community, he was a member of the Paragon Masonic Lodge and an officer and member of the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite Valley of Toledo, receiving his 33rd degree from the ancient and accepted National Scottish Rite. He served as president of Council for Augsburg Lutheran Church, member of the Board of Trustees Lutheran Orphans and Old Folks Home, and was a board member of Wittenberg University. May he rest in peace. John Lyndal Hagemeyer, April 9th, 1926, February 10th, 2020, admitted 1952. John Lyndal Hagemeyer was born on April 9th, 1926, in Clyde, Ohio, literally on the kitchen table of his family home. In high school, Lyndal was a member of the school orchestra, the marching band, and he lettered in football and basketball. He was also a member of the National Honor Society. Lynn graduated from high school in Clyde in the spring of 1944. In August 1944, Lynn was drafted and shipped off to Texas for basic training. On January 23, 1945, still at the age of 18, Lynn shipped off to England, and 9 days later, he was in France. Shortly thereafter, he found himself in Belgium. The war ended for Lynn and his company on April 23, 1945. 2 weeks later, the Germans surrendered. Lyndal remained in the army stationed in Germany, policing Germany until July 6, 1946, when he returned to Ohio and was discharged. He was awarded the Bronze Star. Lynn attended Denison University and earned his JD from the University of Virginia in 1952. Lynn was employed by the Civil Aeronautics Board in Washington, D.C., where he met his wife of 65 years, Elizabeth Cole Betty of Wilmington, Vermont. They married in 1955. Lynn moved to Toledo in 1954 to begin practicing law. He eventually formed a law firm with Carl White, known naturally as Hagemeyer and White. Lyndal practiced general law in Toledo for 40 years. Lyndal and Betty had 4 children, 8 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Betty was the Lucas County Law Librarian for 11 years. Lyndal and Betty moved to Lakeside, Ohio in 1995, where he was active in the Lakeside community and with preservation projects of Lakeside, and where he spent the remainder of his life. May he rest in peace.
Earl Norman Witzler, date of birth March 5th, 1929, date of death February 28th, 2020, admitted to the bar September 5th, 1956. Earl Witzler was born in Perrysburg to parents Norman and Marcina Witzler, who owned the Witzler Funeral Home above which the family lived. Earl attended Perrysburg High School, where he served for 3 years in the National Guard. Following his graduation in 1947, Earl attended Oberlin College and graduated in 1951 with a degree in government. He then joined the U.S. Army and was trained as a cryptographic specialist. During the Korean War, he was assigned to the White House with top secret clearance. Earl was discharged in 1953, after which he earned his law degree from Ohio State. Earl practiced law from offices in Perrysburg until he retired in 1993. He served on multiple boards, including the Board of Directors of Perrysburg Banking and the Board of Community House. Earl also worked with the United Way in Toledo and was a faithful lifelong member of First Presbyterian Church of Perrysburg. Having an interest in the study of archaeology, anthropology, and theology, Earl was also a member of the historic Perrysburg, the Perrysburg Area Historic Museum, the Wood County Historical Museum, and the Waterville Historical Society. Earl is survived by his wife Phyllis, 4 children, and granddaughter Phoebe. And may he rest in peace. Mark Duane Wagoner Sr., date of birth April 4th, 1943, date of death March 18th, 2020, admitted to the bar November 2nd, 1968. Mark Mick Wagner Sr. was born in Toledo, Ohio to Hugh and Wilma Wagoner. Mick and his family spent their early years in Toledo before moving to a farm in Shelby, Ohio. There, Mick graduated in 1991 from Shelby High School, but not before being part of the powerhouse Shelby Whippet football team, their track team, and being voted most charming person in his senior class. So great was his love for Shelby High School that he named every Ottawa Hills youth team he later coached the Whippets. Mick went on to 7 fun-filled years at Ohio Northern University. He attended ONU on a football and track scholarship and achieved his law degree from Ohio Northern University School of Law in 1968. After graduation, Mick moved to Toledo and began his practice out of a garage. He soon joined force with his brother Bud to form Wagner, Steinberg, Chinnis, and Smith in 1971, now known as Wagner and Steinberg. Mick focused his practice on family law for more than 50 years, working right up until the week before his passing. He was known for his ethics and for helping clients navigate some of the worst personal challenges with perspective and humor. As he progressed in his practice, he mentored many younger lawyers. Once a young lawyer was struggling in court during cross-examination of a witness. Mick, the opposing counsel, asked the judge for a brief recess so he could teach the younger lawyer how to overcome the procedural hurdle. Mick exemplified the Toledo way of practice through this and other countless examples. Mick's greatest joy was his family. He made it a point to have dinner most every night at home when his children were young and never missed one of their games. His devotion to his children, even in the most difficult years as a single parent, never faltered. He was so tough and perhaps as touch stubborn that he once tried to walk off a serious heart attack that eventually resulted in quintuple bypass. When asked by a doctor what he did after he suffered the heart attack, He replied that he got up, had breakfast, and went to work. Like the Energizer Bunny, Mick just kept on going. He also continued to enthusiastically support his children's families and their careers. He joined his son Mark in his successful campaigns in the Ohio House and Ohio Senate, becoming a fixture on the campaign trail. That initial involvement led to Mick's own election to the Ohio Republican Party State Central Committee. Mick's life would not have been complete without the love of his life, Joe, whom he met halfway through his journey. They were inseparable, and Mick was happiest when walking their beloved dog, Ozzy, and just being with Joe. They laughed and loved each other unconditionally. Mick leaves us with an amazing legacy of funny Mickisms, many of which should not be repeated in polite company, and a family he dearly loved. He is survived by Helen Joe Wagoner, 2 sons, a daughter, and 7 grandchildren, and Ozzy. May he rest in peace.
Alan Meyer Sokobin, March 8th, 1926, April 3rd, 2020. Admitted to the bar in 1996. Alan Sokobin was born to Max Sokobin and Pauline Furster in Newark, New Jersey. From an early age, Alan possessed a strong moral compass and a fervent commitment to make the world a better place. It was no surprise then when, following the fall of Corregidor in 1942, at age 15, Alan left his home and joined the Navy without his family's consent or knowledge. Alan's sense of patriotism and devotion to the betterment of society burned bright in all he did in life. He saw action in the European theater during World War II and was on a vessel escorting troop ships for the occupation of Japan at the war's end. After the war, Alan returned to work in his father's glass company and later finished his high school education at the Rhodes School in New York City. Through the benefits of the GI Bill, he then attended and graduated from Syracuse University before matriculating to Hebrew Union College. His father's interest in their Jewish faith and tradition inspired him to pursue rabbinic studies. In 1955, he was ordained and studied in Israel. Rabbi Sokobin assisted with congregations in Long Island, New York, and New Jersey. On May 19, 1957, he married the former Miriam, Mickey Levy. With Mickey, he began a 60-year partnership in all things, including raising 2 children and presiding over a family, including 5 grandchildren. Rabbi Sokobin served Jewish communities in several places, but in 1972, he came to serve at the Temple Congregation Shomer Emunim in Sylvania and did so until 1992. Following retirement, Rabbi Sokobin's intellectual curiosity and love of learning resulted in his enrollment at the University of Toledo College of Law. In 1996, at the age of 70, he earned a law degree and was named outstanding student of his class by a vote of the faculty. He continued to write and publish papers, serving the Jewish and secular communities in a wide array of leadership capacities. Rabbi Sokobin served on the Committee on Justice and Peace for the Central Conference of American Rabbis and as a trustee for the Association of Reform Zionists of America. Locally, Rabbi Sokobin was involved with the Labor Management Citizens Committee and the Committee of Public Relations in Toledo. He taught a Jewish history course at the University of Toledo and also designed a course in comparative Jewish law. In 1999, he received the Rabbi Morton Goldberg Community Service Award, named for the late charter member of the Labor Management Committee, which was formed decades earlier to bring labor peace to Toledo. Rabbi Sokobin and former Mayor Harry Kessler led a study committee on improving the Toledo Municipal Court, as well as serving on the Toledo Hospital Ethics Panel. Rabbi Sokobin relished his relationships with those of all faiths and had contacts in each faith community. He and the late Bishop James Hoffman were honored in 1992 by the Anti-Defamation League of B'nai B'rith for improving the understanding between their faiths. Several times over the years, indeed, he gave the invocations and benedictions for this joint memorial service of the bar associations. Rabbi Sokobin's resolve was tested when his beloved Mickey passed away in August of 2017. He embraced his new world, though, while holding on to the memories. Rabbi Sokobin continued to study, learn, live, and embrace life. He continued to walk 2 miles a day on his treadmill, remaining ageless and brilliant. Following a sudden illness, he passed away this past April. Upon his death, the Toledo Blade offered this observation in an editorial about Rabbi Sokobin, and I quote, "He was a remarkable man who surely left nothing undone, and just as surely left no life he touched anything but ennobled," unquote. Rabbi Sokobin leaves many who loved and respected him, including his children, Sharon Spire and Dean Monsky, and Jonathan and Debbie Sokobin, 5 precious grandchildren, Evan, Michael, Benji, Ezra, and Lily, as well as his most cherished nephew and niece, Robert and Rona Rumstein, and their adoring family. May his memory be for a blessing, and may he rest in peace. Brandon Gray Schnorf, Jr., August 19th, 1931, April 20th, 2020. Admitted to the bar in 1958. A lifelong Toledo resident and trial attorney for over 50 years, Brandon Gray Schnorf Jr. was born to Brandon Gray Schnorf Sr. and Leila M. O'Callahan Schnorf. He graduated from DeVilbiss High School and attended Dartmouth College from 1949 to 1955. While at Dartmouth, Brandon was awarded the Rufus Choate Scholarship and the Bennett Essay Prize. Brandon left Dartmouth in 1951 to enlist in the United States Marine Corps. He returned to Dartmouth in 1953 to complete his education, graduating with honors and receiving a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1955. Brandon attended the Ohio State University Law School from 1955 to 1958. While at OSU, he was a member of the Phi Delta Phi legal fraternity. He graduated from the College of Law and was awarded his Juris Doctor in 1958. Brandon was a Korean War veteran and a Purple Heart recipient. As a young Marine, Brandon arrived in Korea in March of 1952. He served as a forward observer and saw action at Bunker Hill, The Hook, and Vegas Outpost Dagmar. In 1953, Brandon was wounded at Outpost Dagmar when a mortar shell landed behind him along the trench line as he was checking on his squad. He was wounded twice and treated by a MASH unit behind the lines. Later, he was sent to a naval hospital in Kobe, Japan, for surgery and recovery. He was honorably discharged as a fire team leader with the rank of sergeant in 1953. Brandon returned to Toledo to practice law with his father, Brandon Sr., establishing the law firm of Schnorf and Schnorf. The firm later became Schnorf, Schnorf, and Schnorf when younger brother David joined the firm. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when the fireworks began. Brandon was appointed Assistant City Law Director in 1960. He was assigned to Toledo's Urban Renewal Program, handling real estate negotiations, land condemnation proceedings, and property acquisitions. Later in his career, Brandon practiced with Kevin Ferguson in the law firm of Schnorf and Ferguson. Brandon's attention to detail, command of the English language, knowledge of the law, and devotion and commitment to his clients enabled him to enjoy a 50-year career in the practice of law. Throughout his life, Brandon sought opportunities to make a difference in the lives of others. He accomplished this by dedicating his time to mentor others and by devoting his resources to support causes of the underserved. In the 1960s, he formed the Gavel Club, hosting high school students in his home. He used the opportunity to coach the students and to practice with them to assist in improving their public speaking skills. In 2001, Brandon arranged to bring Coach Herman Boone of Remember the Titans, as well as Dr. William Rogers, Chief Economist of the U.S. Department of Labor, to meet with students at Scott and Libby High School. Brandon wanted to stress to the students the importance of graduating from high school and to encourage each student to further his or her education with college or a trade school. Brandon was a proud member of the building committee for Corpus Christi University Parish in 1998. He was a 50-year member of the Toledo Bar Association and a member and past president of the Glass City Toastmasters Club. He participated in many Toastmaster international speech contests in the 1960s, winning several awards. Brandon and his former wife, Helen Knierim, had 3 children, Karen, Craig, and Carl. He was preceded in death by Brandon Sr., Leela, and David. In 1994, he married Roxy Ann Hill, and with that union, they joined their 2 families, adding James and Jason Hill. Brandon always maintained a very active lifestyle and enjoyed many outdoor activities, including running, swimming, boating, hiking, skiing, rock climbing, and traveling. He was an avid reader, historian, and writer, known for his love of written correspondence, almost a lost art these days. Brandon was a writer of poetry that he lovingly shared with his family. Surviving him is his wife, Roxy Hill, daughter, Karen Hemsoth, sons, Craig Schnorf, Carl Patrick, James Hill, and Jason Hill. Brandon and Roxy were blessed with 9 grandchildren, Bethany Enzi, Brian Hemsoth, Ava and Julia Patrick, Tyler and Chase Hill, and Leah, Abigail, and Allison Hill. Brandon loved and treasured his grandchildren and enjoyed a special bond with his 2 great-granddaughters, Nora and Thea Enzi. May he rest in peace.
Philip S. Oberlin, April 11th, 1933, April 29th, 2020, admitted 1959. Toledo-born Phil Oberlin graduated from Scott High School, where he enjoyed success in academics, football, and basketball. Phil met his future wife, Judy, also while at Scott. Following graduation, Phil earned a degree in metallurgical engineering from Purdue University and a law degree from George Washington University. He went on to practice locally in trademark and intellectual property law until he retired. As a doubles tennis player, Phil won multiple championships at Laurel Hill Swim and Tennis Club and a senior Ohio State doubles championship. Phil also enjoyed time with his family, gardening, spending winters in Florida, and playing cribbage. He was a founding member of the Glen Ellen Park Cribbage Club and remained a devoted fan of Purdue football and basketball. Phil is survived by his wife of 64 years, Judy, daughters Elizabeth and Holly, son Philip, and several grandchildren and great-grandchildren. May he rest in peace. Richard J. Sullivan, November 14th, 1931, April 14th, 2020, admitted 1958. Richard J. Dick Sullivan of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and Toledo, Ohio, passed away in Fort Lauderdale on April 14th, 2020, after a short illness. Dick was born in Toledo on Tuesday, November 14th, 1931, to John and Mary Ann Sullivan, who both immigrated from the Old Sod in Ireland. Dick graduated from Rosary Cathedral Catholic School and from Central Catholic High School in 1949. After graduating from John Carroll University in 1953, Dick returned to Toledo. He worked part-time while earning a JD from the University of Toledo College of Law in 1957. Dick married Mary, a fellow graduate of Central Catholic High School, in 1955. Dick opened a private legal practice in the Spitzer Building, where he worked over 40 years until he retired and moved to Florida. While Dick was sparing with words, he was a great story and joke teller. He was an avid golfer, and his golfing buddies and their wives often visited Mary and Dick in Fort Lauderdale. Dick enjoyed his beer. One of his claims to fame was identifying brands of beer while blindfolded. Dick was strong in his religious beliefs. He was an active parishioner of St. John the Baptist Catholic Church in Fort Lauderdale and St. Pius and St. Catherine of Siena in Toledo. He was generous to these parishes, as well as Central Catholic High School and John Carroll University. Dick was a member of the Knights of Columbus, the Colony Men's Club, and the Lucas County and Ohio State Bar Associations. For 7 years, Dick partnered with John Moore in running a bar on Central Avenue called Johnny Moore's. Dick is survived by his special friend, Rosemary Seifert, Sister-in-law, Marcia Sullivan. Nieces, Molly Sullivan, Sheila Sullivan. Nephews, Deacon Tim Sullivan, Michael Sullivan, Brian Sullivan, and David Sullivan. Cousins, John Hurley, Jim Hurley, the Widdens, and their families, as well as cousins in Ireland. May he rest in peace.
Keithley B. Sparrow, date of death, June 11th, 1940, date of birth, June 11th, 1946, date of death, June 13th, 2020, admitted to the bar May 7th, 1979. Keith died peacefully in the midst of this pandemic and without an opportunity to say goodbye. His abrupt departure has left a void in the Toledo legal community, but is one that we can it is one that we can fill by sharing memories of him with each other today and in the years to come. Keith was born in Worcester, Massachusetts, and was raised in Washington, D.C. He graduated from Woodrow Wilson High School and earned a degree from Ohio Wesleyan University in 1967. Keith returned to D.C. to study journalism at American University and eventually returned to Ohio to join the Toledo Blade. He was a meticulous and well-respected journalist. After serving as the regional editor for some time, the thrill of a newly created court beat pulled him back into the trenches. Keith's interest in law grew as he covered the courthouse, and he enrolled in the University of Toledo College of Law's evening program. His charm and wit enabled him to gain access to the courthouse's library at night, giving him a quiet place to study that was close to work. After graduating in 1977, he landed his first legal job at Lackey and Nussbaum in the Spitzer building. Keith learned quickly that he had a passion for family law. He took a job with Moran and Moran and eventually put out his own shingle with other independent lawyers on the 14th floor of the Nicholas building. At the Chambers, or Legal Associates as it is now known, Keith shared office space with many other lawyers in various fields of practice. He freely gave of his time and advice to help others. You knew Keith would always have your back, and he was a wonderful sounding board to so many. While Keith was a zealot advocate in and out of the courtroom, he recognized the devastation that contentious litigation can bring upon a family, in particular the effect it can have on children. Keith and his wife, Dr. Suzanne Smidley, worked together for over 20 years, co-mediating post-divorce matters, often pertaining to children. They saw their work as a way to educate the parties about how to work together. Even if the current issue wasn't resolved, families were better prepared to avoid future conflict because of their efforts. Keith's kind heart and willingness to serve others was embodied in the small personal acts of kindness he rendered. Retired Blade reporter Mike Jones spoke of how Keith would provide school supplies to children in need or take the time to make a personal connection outside of work. He was more than just a nice guy. He was a good man, said Jones. He made us laugh and was willing to laugh at himself. Keith was as genuine as they come and will be sorely missed by all that knew him. As the books on 2020 have closed, let us remember our friendship with Keith. Let us remember the meals we've shared with him, the laughs we've had together, the kindness he showed to us, the compassion he gave to others, and the zealous advocacy he brought to the table. Most of all, let us remember that the hole he left behind in our hearts can be filled as we take inspiration from his example. As we give of our time and talents to those less fortunate, those without a voice, his legacy will continue. May he rest in peace. Dorothy Jeanette McCrory, date of birth, April 19th, 1938, date of death, June 15th, 2020, admitted to the bar, May 5th, 1965. Born to George Leo and Margaret Mary Buck in South Toledo, Ohio, Dorothy lived a good and full life as a mother, grandmother, friend, attorney at law, advocate for justice for all, golfer, skier, fisherwoman, and lover of relaxing on the water. She was a 1956 graduate of Libby High School earning first a BA with honors from the University of Toledo, then working as a part-time teaching assistant after admission to the University of Toledo's Night Law School program, where she was one of 3 women and 50 men enrolled as first-year law students. Despite working and even starting labor on the birth of her oldest son, Paul, during an exam, Dorothy finished first in class 1965. Despite finishing first in her class, the trailblazing work of other women before her and federal and state case law to the contrary, she was initially unable to secure work as an attorney, working instead as a social worker for Lucas County Children's Services until 1974. At the point she joined Gallon, Calnez, and Iorio as an attorney and began practicing in the areas of Social Security, disability, and workers' compensation. In addition, she worked on cases involving the Civil Rights Act of 1964, fighting to ensure that no one would face the type of barriers that she faced. Denied an opportunity to advance there, she began her own law firm, McCrory and Associates. From a humble beginning, McCrory and Associates grew into a 6-attorney, 18 support staff firm with revenues in the millions of dollars per year. McCrory and Associate attorneys eventually represented tens of thousands of Ohio families in workers' compensation, Social Security, disability, personal injury, probate, and other areas of law. As life progressed, Dorothy faced a series of medical misfortunes that challenged her and eventually limited her physical abilities to continue practicing law. As a result, she retired after 32 years in 2006. But during her remarkably successful years, she also gave back to the community by charitable giving and drawing attention to injustice where the facts showed it occurred. Dorothy Jeanette McCrory was above all a woman for all seasons, and her final legacy to her profession, her community, and to her family is achievement no matter what hurdles life erects in front of you. May she rest in peace.
James F. Porcello, October 3rd, 1951, June 16th, 2020. Admitted to the bar in 1977. James F. Porcello, longtime intellectual property attorney in Toledo, was born in Cleveland, Ohio. Jim never lost his connection with Cleveland sports, especially the Browns. One of Jim's other passions was music, and he played saxophone in several rock bands. This talent was further refined in the Purdue University Marching Band. The fact that Jim's future wife, Lori, was a majorette for the Purdue Marching Band may have been a factor in his collegiate musical interest. Jim graduated from Purdue in 1974 with an engineering degree and from Capital University Law School in 1977. After law school, he spent a year working at the office of the Ohio Attorney General. After experiencing governmental law, Jim decided it was time to specialize in patent and trademark law, and eventually became a partner at the firm of Emsch, Schaefer, Schaub, and Porcello. Intellectual property law was a good fit, as he loved to know how things work. Jim retired from the firm about a year ago because of health issues. In his career, Jim counseled many companies on their intellectual property issues. This included litigating cases in federal courts in several jurisdictions. Travel and good food were important components of his life. He read cookbooks, bought the latest kitchen gadgets, and cooked almost every night. Not surprisingly, lasagna, ossobuco, and other Italian dishes were his specialties. Jim was a former president of the Toledo Hearing and Speech Center. He had dyslexia and was a stutterer in childhood. He was committed to helping others overcome these challenges. Always an animal lover, he accepted multiple dogs and cats to share the Porcello household. Based on his passion for animals, Jim was an active supporter of the Toledo Area Humane Society. Jim is survived by his wife, Lori, daughter, Eve, son, Thomas, granddaughter, Kiara, and mother, Elizabeth. A compassionate family man and a strong advocate for his clients, Jim shall be remembered fondly. May he rest in peace. Richard G. Farrar, June 29th, 1935, June 26th, 2020. Admitted to the bar in 1966. Dick Farrar was born in Detroit and passed away almost reaching his 85th birthday in June. Before coming to Toledo in 1962, Dick had graduated from Ashtabula High School, graduated from Ohio University in 1956, graduated from Arizona State University with a master's degree in international relations in 1959, and had been honorably discharged from the United States Army in 1962. Dick worked as a Pfizer rep while attending the University of Toledo Law School, from which he graduated in 1966. Dick's legal practice centered around business representation, consisting of primarily entity formation, transactions, contractual matters, and litigation. Dick was known as a zealous and fierce advocate for his clients, and he developed a specialty in Ohio dealer law, representing several Northwest Ohio prominent auto dealerships. In addition to practicing law, Dick had ownership in several businesses during his professional career, including an industrial motor and electronic control company that Dick's son Michael purchased in 2002, and which currently employs 5 family members across 2 generations. Dick was a devout Catholic, having been a member of and involved in the parishes of St. Patrick's of Heatherdown, St. Joan of Arc, and St. John the 23rd. Dick's 4 children all attended Catholic grade school and high school. Dick was proud to be Italian American and a lifelong Detroit Lions fan. He was a season ticket holder since 1978. Dick's favorite moments were with his wife Judith, who survives him. They were married in 1963. His 2 sons, Christopher and Michael, 2 daughters, Kelly and Kathleen, son and daughters-in-law, and 10 grandchildren. Dick loved sharing holidays, picnic grilling, sporting events, and days and evenings at his beloved Naples, Florida condo with them. For anyone who knew him, Dick was truly a one-of-a-kind husband, father, attorney, businessman, mentor, friend, and an all-around character who was larger than life and who will be truly missed by all who had the good fortune of knowing him. May he rest in peace. Chris, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you. Scott Edward Spencer, January 11th, 1948, July 2nd, 2020. Admitted 1979. Scott was born on January 11th, 1948, to Dale and Norma Spencer. He grew up in Continental Ohio and graduated from the University of Toledo in 1976. Scott received his Juris Doctor magna cum laude from the University of Toledo College of Law. He was admitted to practice in Ohio in 1979. At 18, he joined the Army for 2 years and served a tour of duty in Vietnam. He met the love of his life, Martha Henry Spencer, while attending college, married her on August 23rd, 1975, and had 2 wonderful children and 5 amazing grandchildren. After graduating from law school, Scott clerked for Judge John Peck, a judge on the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals. He was the first graduate from the University of Toledo Law School to be selected to that position. He then had the opportunity to clerk for a judge in the United States Supreme Court, but turned it down to start his law career in Colorado. Scott eventually returned to Toledo in private practice, sharing office space over 30 years with attorneys Lauren Zahner, Adrian Zimmerman, Carla Davis, Jill Vernez Richardson, and Amy Stoner. Scott was tenacious in his pursuit of justice for his clients. No one could outwork him. Members of the bar respected him for both his courtroom skills and for the depth and accuracy of his legal knowledge. Scott loved spending time with his family and friends. He scuba dived with sharks, snowmobiled in Yellowstone, and learned to sail. While on a trip to Machu Picchu and the Galapagos Islands, he earned the nickname of White Lightning while he was running, or was that moseying, to catch the bus. He also broke his glass while making a toast at the end of the trip and was given a plastic cup to finish. Scott will be greatly missed by Martha, his beloved wife of 44 years, his children Andrea and Timothy Mahoney, Ryan and Kimberly Spencer, and his grandchildren Connor, Braden, Madison, Abby, and Evelyn, and countless other family members and friends. May he rest in peace. John M. Carey, March 4th, 1951, July 30th, 2020, admitted 1978. John Michael Carey excelled in many roles throughout his personal and professional life. He was born in Toledo, Ohio, into a family of distinction, with his father not only a Toledo mayor, but also a Lucas County Common Pleas Court judge. John attended and graduated with high academic distinction in 1969 from Toledo St. Francis de Sales High School, and shortly thereafter began his own family life with Terry Anderson. John was privileged to graduate from Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts in 1973, and returned to Toledo to pursue the study of law, enrolling in evening classes at the University of Toledo College of Law. Intrigued by the intense and quiet confidence of the prosecutors and criminal defense bar, which he observed nearly every day, John determined to become a lawyer and ended up a lawyer's lawyer. Gifted with a jurisprudence born not only of keen courtroom observation, but also of unrivaled imagination, John began his career with Fuller, Henry, Hodge, and Snyder, achieving distinction within a few short years. John left the Fuller firm, having attained partner status, to assist his good friend Mike Briley at Watkins, Bates, and Handwork during a particularly challenging time in the firm's history. Through thick and thin, good and bad, John continued to practice and enjoyed the longest tenure of all with Bill Bates. Few would know that John had one of the most lively international practices of lawyers residing in Toledo. It was not unusual for him to travel to England, Switzerland, and on occasion even to Libya to counsel and advise clients whose other lawyers were noted for their international accomplishments. Playing on the biggest stage of all, John observed, acquired, and displayed for his many clients the skills he saw displayed throughout the world. After a distinguished career at the firm that then bore his name, John accepted the invitation to join Eastman and Smith. John enjoyed the good life with friends, and particularly his sons, teaching them fly fishing, travel, and cooking. John felt that he was fortunate and wanted to convey, to teach, and to share that intrinsic part of his soul with his children, with his beloved Anne, and his many personal friends and professional colleagues who gave him the greatest gift, an interesting life, permeated by love and marked by accomplishment. A great lawyer, an even better father, and a unique man. May we all be so blessed, and may he rest in peace.
The Honorable James D. Jensen, date of birth, February 26, 1943, date of death, August 6, 2020, admitted to the bar on May 2nd, 1970. Judge James D. Jensen was born in Denver, Colorado to Mary and Ulf Jensen. He grew up in Akron, where his father was a cardiologist. He graduated from Bucktel High School. After receiving his bachelor's degree from Wittenberg University, he graduated from the University of Toledo College of Law in 1969. He later was an adjunct professor there and helped coach mock trial teams. Jim started his legal career in private practice. He later became an assistant U.S. attorney in Toledo and later was appointed senior litigation counsel. He went on to work at the Department of Justice as the assistant director of the Advocacy Institute for the Attorney General. He returned to private practice in Toledo as a partner at Spangler Nathanson. Judge Jensen began his judicial career by appointment to the Common Pleas Court by Governor George Voinovich in 1995. He was elected in 1996 and re-elected thereafter. He capped his judicial career by election to the 6th District Court of Appeals in 2012. Shortly before his death, he learned that he was to be honored with the 2020 Thomas J. Moyer Award for Judicial Excellence, after letters supporting his nomination had been received from a broad spectrum and bipartisan group of legal luminaries from the region. Judge Jensen was humbled by receiving the award, as he really respected Chief Justice Moyer, but it reflected the high regard that he was held in by all members of the legal community, regardless of station. Judge Jensen served as president of the Toledo Bar Association in 1998 and served on the Council of Delegates of the Ohio State Bar Association. For his entire legal career, Judge Jensen was known for promoting diversity in the profession. He loved the Lucas County Courthouse and regularly took prospective jurors on historic tours. He is survived by his wife, the former Lynn Blue, and his daughters, Tracy Jensen and Tammy Lucados, his son, Tim Jensen, stepsons, Dean Moore and Tyler Stevens. He was formerly married to Marilyn Mensing Jensen. May he rest in peace. Peter Michael Zaums, date of birth, July 10th, 1944, date of death, August 8th, 2020, admitted to the bar May 5th, 1973. Pete Zaums of Lambertville, Michigan, was born in Riverside, Illinois, to Michael and Mildred Zaums, and died on August 9th, 2020, following an 8-month battle with lung cancer. Pete attended the Bennett Academy in Lisle, Illinois. He graduated from Xavier University in 1966 and the University of Toledo College of Law in 1973. Pete served his country in the United States Army for 4 years on Okinawa, Japan, and was discharged as a first lieutenant. Pete and his wife, Mary Lou Devine, met at the Kentucky Derby in 1962 and were married in September of 1967. Their loving 53-year union brought 3 daughters into the world, ultimately adding husbands and 8 grandchildren into the fold. Pete spent his 47-year legal career in private practice, respectfully serving his clients primarily of Monroe County, Bedford Township, and Toledo. Pete cherished his work and all those with him and for whom he counseled. He provided grounded judgment, caring professionalism, and fair and equal treatment to his clients. He was inspired by Abraham Lincoln to strive for honest and realistic outcomes for all his clients. Pete served his Bedford community in many ways. He was a devout Catholic and lifelong member of Our Lady of Mount Carmel Catholic Church. He was a member and past president of the Bedford Township Lions Club. Pete also was the president of the board of directors of Heartbeat of Monroe, and he facilitated the creation of the 22-acre Wheeler Wildlife Preserve in Lambertville in memory of his clients and friends, James and Anna Wheeler. Pete will be remembered for his kind smile, his wry sense of humor, meaningful counsel, service to others, and love of God. May he rest in peace.
The Honorable Frederick Hill McDonald, August 8th, 1943, August 11th, 2020. Admitted to the bar in 1968. Frederick Hill McDonald grew up in Poland, Ohio, where he was proudly voted, quote, the second cutest boy in the 7th grade, unquote. After graduation from Poland High School, Fred attended Carleton College before earning his law degree from Georgetown University. He was admitted to the Ohio Bar in December of 1968. After proudly serving his country as a naval officer on a destroyer during the Vietnam War, Fred moved to Toledo, where he joined the Toledo Legal Aid Society, an organization he supported and admired throughout his career. In 1973, he became an assistant county prosecutor, and in 1978, he joined the United States Attorney's Office as an assistant federal prosecutor. In 1986, Fred was appointed to the Toledo Municipal Court bench, and 1 year later was appointed to the Lucas County Common Pleas bench, where he served until his retirement in 2015. Post-retirement, Fred kept busy as a visiting judge all over the state of Ohio. More importantly, he spent as much time as possible with his beloved grandsons. Fred met his wife, attorney Holly Taft Sidlow, in Toledo, and they were married for 44 years. Together, they had 2 boys, Bill and Chaz, who both still live in Toledo with their children. Fred was a consummate family man, a father, a grandfather, a husband, a coach, mentor, friend, and partner. He was well known for his even-tempered demeanor, both on the bench and at home. He was ethical, principled, and measured. He led quietly by example. He never wavered, except on the golf course. According to Guy Byrne, he whined on the golf course a lot. This was confirmed by his son Chaz and anyone else who ever played with him. Fred enjoyed the practice of law in Toledo, especially the Toledo way. He valued the lawyers who appeared before him, and he served as a judge in a way that both sides called painfully fair. That was Fred, happy to mentor any attorney, always willing to talk about a rule or a case, humbled to be part of a legal system he respected and revered. He was a true student and scholar of the law. Despite being a man of tremendous accomplishments and a man who garnered great respect, Fred enjoyed the simple pleasures of life. Watching a Browns game, going to the farmer's market with Holly, making soup with his grandsons. To Fred, life is what you make of it, and what a life Fred led. He will be missed by his family, especially his grandsons, and the legal community here in Toledo. May we all carry a little Fred McDonald in us and be decent to all people, regardless of position, title, or status, as a plaintiff or defendant. May we live the brand of kindness Fred did and mourn the loss of a great man. May he rest in peace. Honorable Peter M. Handwork, December 2nd, 1941, December 5th, 2020. Admitted to the bar in 1966. Whether he was running off the first tee at the Toledo Country Club to start an old pal match or taking the bench for an oral argument in the 6th District Court of Appeals, Peter Handwork always gave each matter his full devotion and attention. He would work as hard as he could to achieve the best result. Peter was born in Toledo to Jean and Bentley Handwork. He was raised in Sylvania and graduated from Maumee Valley Country Day School. Peter obtained his bachelor's degree from Lake Forest College in 1963 and his law degree from the University of Toledo in 1966. Peter was president of the Student Bar Association during his tenure at UT Law. Following graduation from law school, Peter began his legal career at Eastman, Stichter, Smith, and Bergman from 1967 to 1969. Peter was an assistant U.S. attorney from 1969 to 1972. He was a partner at Watkins, Bates, and Handwork in Toledo from 1972 to 1976. In 1977, Peter was appointed to the Lucas County Common Pleas Court after John Connors was elevated to the Court of Appeals. He cherished the community in which he lived and devoted the next 36 years to a distinguished career in public service. Two things mattered most to Peter: his family and a reverence for the law. He was a man of integrity, a trustworthy, honorable man. Peter was elected to the 6th District Court of Appeals in 1983, again succeeding Judge Connors. The longest tenured jurist on the 6th District Court of Appeals, Peter served on the appellate bench for the next 30 years until his retirement in 2013. He was the presiding judge for 4 terms and held numerous offices and affiliations with judges' associations throughout his career. After retirement, he continued to work as a visiting judge, mediator, and arbitrator. In 2019, with a heavy heart, he chose to discontinue the work he loved because of health-related issues. Peter shared his love of the law as a teacher and a mentor. For 26 years, he was an adjunct professor at the University of Toledo's Paralegal Studies program, where he coached the university's intercollegiate mock trial team to national success. In 1994, he received the Congressman Neil Smith Award, given to an educator who demonstrates outstanding contributions to law-related education. In the 1990s, he also served as board member for the American Mock Trial Association. He loved working with the students in the program. Peter also served on the Lucas County Board of Elections from 2014 to 2017. He was appointed as a voice of reason in an effort to bring integrity and order to a Board of Elections characterized at the time by the Ohio Secretary of State as a culture of dysfunction. Besides the Lucas County Board of Elections, Peter also served over the years on boards of other area organizations, such as Maumee Valley Country Day School, the Sylvania Board of Education, the Court Diagnostic and Treatment Center, and the Toledo Country Club. Peter was a longstanding member of the Rotary Club of Toledo, and in 2019, he was honored to be named as their next president. He was a member of the Toledo, Ohio State, and American Bar Associations, as well as the Ohio Common Pleas Judges Association. Peter was an avid and accomplished golfer. He was a 3-time men's club champion at the Toledo Country Club, and he had the privilege of hitting 4 holes in 1 over the years. Peter had a crooner's voice, a chiseled jaw, and he was an eloquent, off-the-cuff speaker. He liked to dance, grow heirloom tomatoes, and attract birds to the myriad backyard feeders. He had a twinkle in his eye and was easily moved to tears when the conversation turned sentimental. He looked dashing in a blazer and made a mean vodka tonic, which were often featured on cocktail cruises he captained around Chubb Lake. Quote, "He was not only the most loving, generous, and kind person you can ever meet, he was someone who would make you feel safe and comfortable," unquote, his daughter Allison said about him. His only failure was never getting Jude Aubrey to vote Republican. Peter married the love of his life, Claudia, in 1979 and spent the next 41 years doting on her. As empty nesters, they traveled the country to visit family from Florida to Alaska to California. Peter and Claudia have 6 wonderful children: Courtney Kuhn, Peter Handwork II, Lindsay Hickey, Allison Handwork, Andrea Sen, and Derek Sen. They also have 18 beautiful grandchildren. Peter is also survived by his former wife, Joan, the mother of Courtney, Peter, and Lindsay, and his 3 younger brothers, Tom, Chris, and John. May he rest in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, the roll is now complete. Keeping with our tradition, the committee respectfully moves the Lucas County Common Pleas Court to spread these remarks upon the permanent record of the court, after which the court will stand in recess. Thank you.